Hey everybody, so today I am here to talk about my reflux must-haves. If you are new to my channel or my videos, my oldest daughter Sophie and also my youngest daughter Remy both suffered from infant acid reflux when they were little babies, and it gradually turned into GERD, which then made them failure to thrive, and it was a whole story, a whole ordeal that we had to deal with for both of their first years of their life. And it was really a hard journey. Both of my girls had very different symptoms because they had different kinds of reflux. Their GERD presented in different ways, and because of that, I found a lot of things that helped. I've tried a lot of things that didn't help as well, but today I'm here to share with you guys what our must-haves are. I am 15 weeks pregnant with our next baby girl, so I am totally expecting to have to do this again and to be well prepared. Hopefully. Reflux always throws you for a loop, even if you have experienced it with one or more children, I'm sure. So I'm going to have links down below for everything that I can possibly find. I'm also going to be scooting over because all of this stuff is pretty much packed up, put away up in our loft. So I'm not going to drag everything down and show you guys. I'm just going to insert pictures, and like I said, there'll be links for you to actually check out the products on the website too. I'll have both of the girls' reflux stories linked if you're interested. Sophie had reflux that presented as typical infant reflux with lots of vomiting and stuff like that. So if you're looking for an experience like that, that's her video. And with Remy, she actually had silent reflux, so I will have her video linked as well, just so you know which one you're getting into. And I also have just a 101 kind of video on infant reflux if you need more information about it. So I'll have all three of those videos linked. I know it's really tough to deal with your child having infant reflux, and if any of these can help any of you out there struggling, that would be amazing. So without further ado, I'm going to start with the items that we found most helpful with Sophie. Like I said, she vomited quite a bit. So the first thing is thick, nice burp cloths. These ones that I'm going to link are technically diapers, like cloth diapers from Gerber, but they are so thick. I know lots of people just use them as burp rags, but I liked these ones the best because they were larger, and when you do have them on you, it doesn't immediately soak through, it doesn't get all over you. They're just really nice and thick. If your baby doesn't spit up or vomit that much, you can also get several uses out of it. But for Sophie, she would literally drench herself all the way down to like her waist area. That's how much she would vomit in just one sitting. It was multiple times a day. So thick burp cloths that could catch it if we saw it in time, or just to help clean up or to make sure that we weren't covered in spit up. Those were amazing. I tried so many different ones, like muslin ones, cotton ones, which I believe the Gerber ones are cotton, but they have so many layers of it. But just real thin ones just did not do the trick whatsoever. They were pretty much useless with Sophie, so I really like those Gerber ones, and you get a fair amount for the price in my opinion. The next thing was Bibs. Now, like I said, since she drenched herself all the way down to her waist, these sometimes were helpful, sometimes weren't. But if she did have a nice outfit on, or if we were going out, I would try to save that outfit as long as possible. I really liked these kind of bibs that had some kind of waterproof kind of lining inside of them, so again, it just didn't immediately soak through, get her shirt all wet, making it so I would have to change yet another outfit. So these were really important for like when we were out, making sure she had one on. Like I said, if we were at home, we had endless amounts of clothes, so we could just keep changing her and it was no big deal. But while we were out, these were a huge must-have. I had like 4 or 5 in my diaper bag at all times. And if you can't find necessarily ones with waterproof kind of linings, just any ones that are real thick, I liked the Tommee Tippee ones that actually have a nice little band to go underneath of their neck to make sure their neck rolls aren't all gross too. Those ones are pretty nice as well, just not quite as protective to their clothes underneath. The next item is something that I had for Sophie from birth, but I didn't think about using it until about a few months in, and it was so great that I actually started using it in the very early months with Remy because it was so great. And that is a reclining high chair, and other seats just would aggravate it. If you have a bumbo, those aren't really a great one because they can put a lot of pressure on their tummy area, thus making the reflux even worse. So you want to find something that elevates them and keeps them at an incline, but also doesn't put a ton of pressure on that tummy area. And that's why the reclining high chairs are so amazing, because the ones that I have had do go back pretty far. So even if baby's not able to sit up on their own, they can still recline and sit in the high chair, but they're at an incline enough to where they're not constantly vomiting. It was so amazing. With Sophie, we had the Fisher-Price Space Saver, I think is what it's called. That's great, we still have it. But me personally, I'm going to link you to the Graco one, because I liked the Graco with Remy a little bit better. I just find it more sturdier. Between the two, I just feel like it's all around a better deal for the Graco one. And like I said, I used that with Sophie and it was just amazing. The next thing is a bottle with a venting system. Now this might be, you know, I don't know, kind of I wouldn't say controversial, it's not that big of a deal, but you know, there's going to be some hit and misses on this. Some people might tell you it's not necessary, but it wasn't necessarily that the bottles helped with her reflux. The bottles just helped with the gas. I found that both my reflux babies were also very gassy, and gas on top of reflux is just miserable for everybody. And with Sophie, the Dr. Brown's bottles, amazing. I know a lot of people don't like them because of the parts and the cleaning and all that stuff, but honestly, they were the ones that helped the most with her gas, and for that reason, I was completely fine with washing the parts. I did not mind it at all. Having a fussy, cranky baby because she was gassy on top of her reflux was far worse than washing the parts. I know I get questions quite frequently because I have quite a few videos on Dr. Brown's bottles that people experience leaking. That's not normal. Reach out to their customer service. They are so amazing. They will help troubleshoot with you. They might even replace some parts, send you new bottles, stuff like that. It's not normal for them to leak if you're assembling them correctly, cleaning them correctly, stuff like that, and using them correctly. But if you're experiencing leaking, that's not normal. Definitely contact them. I'll leave a link down below so it's easy for you. But yes, the Dr. Brown's with Sophie, must have. We tried gas drops and a whole bunch of other things like that. We never saw any difference until we transitioned to the Dr. Brown's bottles, and like that, gas wasn't a problem. And the last thing with Sophie that was really helpful was these changing pad liners. They are waterproof. Even at diaper changes, she would still spit up, even being elevated. And for that reason, so I did not have to constantly change a changing pad cover, or if I was changing her on the floor, or if I was, you know, on the couch or something like that, having that underneath of her so that when she did spit up, it didn't ruin what was ever underneath of her that we were changing, super helpful. Super helpful. Those things are pretty much intended for like poop and pee and stuff, but with Sophie, I always hiked it like right underneath her head so it would also catch the spit up too, and they worked phenomenally. We have these Munchkin ones. They're amazing. There's a whole bunch of different options on Amazon now. When Sophie was a baby, I feel like there wasn't nearly as many options, but something we utilized a ton. So moving into silent reflux, this is a totally different ball game. There were a couple of similar things that we used with Remy that we used with Sophie, but it very much took me by surprise how different it could be. I did expect for my youngest to have reflux. I was waiting for it to happen, but it presented so differently and she needed a different kind of care that it still took me by surprise. So these are the things that definitely helped us with our youngest. The first one is the Fisher-Price Rock and Play. Now I got this because I just really wanted something portable, more portable, like a sleeping station, because she was our second baby. I didn't even get this intending it to use for reflux, but it was so crucial to have. It was basically one of the only places that Remy would sleep soundly. It was just amazing. I heard so many different reflux moms talk about the Rock and Play when I had Sophie, but by the time I had heard about it, I thought she was probably a little too big for it, so we never purchased one for her. But with Remy having it from the start, it was like groundbreaking. Honestly, that sounds crazy and it sounds exaggerated, but it's not, because with silent reflux, there's hardly any spit up. With Remy, it was close to none after like the first month, but she was always in constant pain, and it was just the worst. She would scream so bad if she was lying completely flat. So to have her in the rocking place sleeping soundly, it was a huge deal for us. These are great, very versatile. They can fold up compact. You can take them to other people's houses, travel with them. Just make sure you're washing the cover quite frequently, because baby is so warm and there is a plastic hard piece. It can cause some moisture between the two and it can start to get moldy under there. So make sure you are taking the cover off and washing it, wiping down that plastic piece, making sure it's 100% dry. I know some people run into problems with that. So the two similar items that we used with Remy that was also pretty much the same with Sophie were the bottles and the high chair. Like I said, with the bottles, we decided to go with a venting system. I tried a bunch of bottles with each girl and they both gravitated towards one. It really fit them, particularly for their medical needs as well. So with Remy, we use the MAM bottles. They do technically have the same amount of parts as the Dr. Brown bottles, but they are far easier to clean. These bottles completely come unassembled. You have to unassemble them so they stay nice and they don't get gross or anything like that. And you want to make sure you're doing that. But these were amazing because they also did the same. Remy was very gassy, even more so than her sister for the first couple months. And once we got to those MAM bottles, again, it disappeared. And then the high chair, we got the Graco high chair because Sophie was still using the Fisher-Price one at the time. And I knew that it had worked so well with Sophie. I wanted one with Remy, and I decided to go with a different brand because it looked a little more interesting, and I'm glad I did. I used that in the very early months with Remy, and it was, again, so useful. That recline position, having multiple of them, it's just a game changer. And the very last thing that I wanted to mention for Remy that helped her a lot was a baby carrier. Now, Sophie hated the baby carrier. I'm not sure why that was. Maybe it was her personality, maybe it wasn't. But with Remy, it was where she could be most upright and most content, was right against me, right against her dad. She absolutely loved to be carried. The one that I love for newborns was the Solly Baby Wrap. That is something that takes a little getting used to, but once you do, you don't even think about doing it. It's just something you do by second nature. And then as she got older, I moved into the Ergo Performance. This one we love as well. I really like this soft structure one. It is very well ventilated even in the warm months, and I have nothing but good things to say. But baby wearing can be great because they are so vertical and they're also up next to mom, dad, whoever, and they really do love that. Remy actually had a feeding aversion as well, so feeding her was just very exhausting for everybody, and baby wearing was one of the only places I could get her to take a bottle. It was just, I can't say enough good things about what the baby wearing did for us. But those are all of my must-haves. I feel like most of them aren't super expensive. You know, the carriers can be depending which way you want to go. But yeah, I hope that helps you guys. If you are in the thick of reflux, I really hope that you turn a corner soon and you and your baby start feeling better soon. I know it's an exhausting experience for everybody involved, and it can take a while to find the footing and figure out what's going to work best for you and your baby. If you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching.